Hello everyone. So we are starting off with a new segment in the previous year question session, and we'll be starting off with year wise, unit wise topics and their discussion. Okay. So today we are starting off with plant physiology. Every day, like 4 days, for one specific unit, and all the questions of that specific unit will be dealt in, right? So we are starting off with plant physiology from 2023 to 2018. All the questions year wise will be dealt in, right? So it will be a bit fast paced class, so please make sure that you are being attentive and you're solving out the questions with the best of ability. Okay, so let's begin with the class now. So we're starting off with the 2023 papers. All the papers, like all the questions, are from the December 2023 and the June 2023. I have like added on all the questions from these four papers, both shift of December and both the shift of June. From that, we have got all the questions that have been asked in the examination are in this particular class. Let's begin. This is the first question for you all. The defect in the major semi-dwarfing gene of rice, that is SD1, it leads to the cultivar with the short, thick clumps and improved lodging resistance. The gene is related to which of the following plant hormone? First option is gibberellin, then you have abscisic acid, then you have jasmonic acid, and then you have salicylic acid. I repeat the question. The defect in the major semi-dwarfing gene of rice, that is your SD1, it leads to the cultivar with a short, thick and thick clump and improve lodging resistance. The gene is related to which of the following phytohormone? Just 1 minute for you all, and then we'll be solving out the question. Try the question and mark the answer. Every day now we are starting off with a new format of class, and the format will be year wise and unit wise, right? This is unit number 6. Gibberellin, abscisic acid, jasmonic acid, salicylic acid. Try it out. Let's see. So the defect in the major semi-dwarfing gene of rice, it leads to short, thick clumps and improved lodging resistance. Gene is related to which of the plant hormone? So it is your gibberellic acid or the gibberellins, right? Very, very simple. So which phytohormone is there? You have the gibberellin. So the major semi-dwarfing gene in the rice, it is associated with the gibberellin. The SD1 gene, it is involved in the biosynthesis for the responsiveness of the gibberellin, that what functionality the gibberellin has to perform. The presence of this gene leads to shorter, thicker clumps, contributing to improved lodging resistance in the rice cultivars. Gibberellins are a class of phytohormone that regulate a number of aspects of plant growth and development, which includes stem elongation as well. Introduction to the semi-dwarf varieties, that is your the gene with the variety with the SD1 gene, it plays a crucial role in increasing the yield and also preventing the lodging in rice, leading to the successful green. revolution. Next question, in the model plant Arabidopsis thaliana, methionine is a precursor amino acid for the biosynthesis of which of the following? Again, simple question is, in the model plant that is Arabidopsis thaliana, methionine is a precursor amino acid in the biosynthesis of alkaloids, glucosinolates, phenolics, and terpenoids. Try the question, everyone. Simple and easy. Quickly try. Let's see. In the model plant Arabidopsis thaliana, methionine is a precursor of the in the biosynthesis of, the answer will be glucosinolates. The biosynthetic mechanisms and the precursor of each of these is very, very important, be it your secondary metabolites or be it your plant hormones. So please make sure that you remember this. B is the correct answer. Glucosinolates are the one in which the methionine plays the important role in the biosynthetic pathway. Next question, which of the following floral homeotic gene is transcribed in all the four whorls during the flower development? Again, simple and easy question. Try it out quickly. Let's see, which of the following floral homeotic gene is transcribed in all the four whorls during the flower development? AP1, AP2, AP3, pistillata, agamus. Very simple. It's the AP2 which is transcribed in all the four whorls. Remember about this. AP2 is the one which is there in all the four whorls. It is an experimental question and many of the students got confused while this question was asked in the examination. So remember, which of the following homeotic gene is there which is transcribed in all the four whorls? It is your AP2. Remember this, epitala 2. Next question. Which of the following anthropogenic activities contribute the most nitrogen to the global nitrogen cycle? Repeating the question, which of the following anthropogenic activities contribute the most nitrogen to the global nitrogen cycle? Industrial production of fertilizers, NOx production due to combustion of fossil fuels, nitrogen fixation by soybean farming, nitrogen fixation by cultivation of the legumes, excluding your soybean. Try the question, everyone, and mark it. Let's see. Which of the following anthropogenic activities contribute the most to the global nitrogen cycle? Industrial production of fertilizer, NOx production due to combustion of fossil fuels, nitrogen fixation by soybean farming, and nitrogen fixation by the cultivation of the legumes. A is the correct answer. The industrial production of the fertilizers. Very simple. It's your industrial production of the fertilizer contribute the most to the global nitrogen cycle. Remember this, because it is asking you which of the following anthropogenic activities, that is the activities related to the humans, or we can say the human activity. So A is the correct answer. Next question, given are the statements, you have to find out the incorrect statement regarding the plant phytohormone, cyanobacterial phytochromal and bacterial phytochrome like protein. So you need to find out which of the following is incorrect. Four options in front of you. Try the question, everyone. Easy and simple. Make sure that you're not using much time, just 1 minute, and you should be able to mark the answer. Let's see which of the following statement is incorrect regarding your plant phytohormone, cyanobacterial phytochromal, and bacterial phytochrome like protein. First one is saying that you have the phytochrome have two of the PRO domains in the C domain in the C terminal moiety. Second, CPHL, that is your cyanobacterial phytochromal, and BPHL has histidine kinase domain at the N-terminal moiety. Then GAF domain is present in the N-terminal moiety of PHY, CPHL, and BPHP. Then cysteine residues that form the linkage is associated in the GAF domain in the canonical phytochrome such as PHY and CPHL. So you need to find out which of the following is incorrect. So answer for this is option number 2. So they are both associated with distinctive or different signaling pathways, and they serve as photoreceptors in like, and they're not commonly linked to the histidine kinase domain. That's why answer is option number B. Some of you got the answer correct. Although we are revising them, still you're not able to mark the answers correctly. That means the revision is lagging somewhere. Next, which of the following is not correct about the collenchyma? Try the question. Which of the following is not correct about the collenchyma? Collenchyma cell wall are thick and they require more glucose for their production. Then collenchyma cells are rigid. Then the collenchyma is usually produced in the shoot tips and young petioles. Then collenchyma is generally not present in the subterranean shoot and the roots. Try it out. Which of the following is not correct about collenchyma? Collenchyma cell walls are thick and they require more glucose for their production. They are rigid. They are usually produced in the shoot tips and young petioles, and then they are generally not present in the subterranean shoot and the roots. So you need to find out which of the following is not correct about the collenchyma. Simple, straightforward, easy question. Answer is option number B. So collenchyma is the cell which provides flexibility, which provides mechanical support to the plant, so they cannot be rigid. So B is the wrong answer. The cell walls are thick and they require more glucose for their production. They are not rigid. They're usually present in the shoot tips and young petioles, and they're not present in the subterranean shoot and the roots. Correct. But rigidity is not correct. They are flexible but not rigid. Okay, because they are flexible, that's why they provide mechanical support to the plant or mechanical support to the plant structure. Remember about this. Next question. Which of the following is referred to as tuberoic acid? Question is, which of the following is referred to as tuberoic acid? Methyl jasmonate, cis jasmone, jasmonyl 1 beta glucose, then 12 hydroxy plus 7 isojasmonate. Try the question, easy and simple. Basic question, try it out quickly. Which of the following is referred to as tuberoic acid? Simple question. Answer is 12 hydroxy 7 isojasmonate. Simple and easy question. Straightforward question. If you have revised about it, you won't get it wrong. Next, over here you have the like plant hormones and their biosynthetic precursors. You need to find out which of the following options represent the correct matches between the column X and column Y. So auxin, cytokinin, ethylene, and the gibberellin. Try the question. Easy, basic, simple. Very, very easy question, and it's a 4 marker. Try it out. Done, everyone. Which of the following, like you have to mark down the plant hormones and their biosynthetic precursors: auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin, and ethylene. Auxin gets marked with your tryptophan. Very simple. Cytokinin gets marked, like if you mark A with option number 3, you can eliminate fourth one, right? Then you have the cytokinin getting marked with your 1 amino cyclopropane 1 carboxylic acid, right? Sorry, cytokinin getting marked with your geranyl diphosphate, ethylene getting marked with your 1 amino cyclopropane 1 carboxylic acid, because this is formed in the intermediate. So C get marked with the fourth one, A gets marked with the third one, and with this you have the correct answer as option number 3. So B gets marked with second. Cytokinin is with your adenosine moiety, and gibberellin is with your geranyl diphosphate. Yes, correct. 3 is the correct answer for this particular question. I just marked one of them wrong by mistake. So 3 is the correct answer for this. Auxin's precursor is tryptophan. Cytokinin's precursor is adenosine moiety. For ethylene, it is 1 amino cyclopropane 1 carboxylic acid, and for gibberellin it is geranyl diphosphate, right? If you can recall, the biosynthetic pathway of gibberellin is in various 3 of the uh, organelles, and the geranyl diphosphate is formed in the intermediary position, right? So that's why 3 is the correct answer. So auxin, tryptophan, cytokinin, adenosine moiety, IPT, isopentyl phosphate. Ethylene is for 1 amino cyclopropane 1 carboxylic acid, and gibberellin is synthesized from your geranyl diphosphate, right? So 3 is the correct answer. Next question. This one is for your apoplast phloem loading concept. So apoplast phloem loading is determined by the cellular location and transport function of the membrane bound protein. Following are certain statements related to these proteins. You need to find out which of the following combination is correct. Try the question, everyone. Simple and easy. Try it out. This is again a 4 marker question. Try solving as much, like in the earliest timing possible. Try it out. Then we'll solve it out together. Apoplast phloem loading is determined by the cellular location and the transport function of membrane bound proteins. Following are certain statements related to these proteins. First one, SWEET. These are sugar transport proteins and they are capable of transporting only the sucrose and not the glucose. Then double mutants of Arabidopsis SWEET 11 and 12, they result in carbohydrate accumulation in the sucrose leaves and slower transport of the photoassimilates. Then H plus symport mechanism loads sucrose and polyols in the sieve elements and the companion cell complexes. Then several clades of sucrose H plus symporters, they are localized to the plasma membrane of minor veins SECC and they participate in the apoplast loading. Which of the following combination is the correct one? So answer is option number 3. Very good. Some of you got the answer correct. 3 is the correct answer. First is saying that they're capable of loading or transporting only the sucrose and not the glucose. This one is a wrong statement. It can transport both the things. If you eliminate A option, you can easily eliminate the 3 wrong option and get to the correct answer. That is option number 3. Very easy and simple question. Next, related to your photorespiration. The photorespiration or the C2 cycle takes place in 3 distinctive organelles. That is your chloroplast, peroxisome, and the mitochondria. If you can recall, I gave you this mnemonics as well for remembering the entire segment. There are few statements related to the C2 cycle given. You need to find out which of the following combination has all the correct statements. Read the question carefully and mark the answer. If you remember about the photorespiration concept, you will not make a mistake in the part. Try it out, everyone. Let's see. Simple and easy question. Everyone, mark it quickly. Let's see. Photorespiration or the C2 cycle takes place in three distinctive organelles in the plant cell. Following are certain statements related to the C2 cycle. First one, reduced peridoxin and ATP are required for photorespiration, assimilation of resulting NH3. Then photosynthetic electron transport provide energy rich ATP and NADPH for photorespiration. Then glutamate is translocated from the chloroplast to the peroxisome while a alpha ketoglutarate is transported from peroxisome to chloroplast. Then the action of the enzyme serine hydroxymethyl transferase take place in the peroxisome. You need to find out the combination of all the correct statements. So let's see the answer. Answer for this is option number B. A and C are the correct one. Reduced ferridoxin and ATP are required for photorespiration, and glutamate is translocated from the chloroplast to the peroxisome. So A and C are the correct ones. B and D are the wrong statement. Yeah, next question. Over here, you're given the information related to the chlorophyll pigment. So the question is given below are certain statements regarding the light absorption by the chlorophyll pigment molecules in a green leaf. You need to find out the combination of the correct statement. Try the question. Four options in front of you. Try it out, everyone. Try it out quickly. Read the question carefully and mark it. First option is the absorption of a photon by a pigment molecule converts it from its lower state to the excited state. Second is saying internal conversions or relaxation of the pigments convert higher excited states to the lower excited states with a concomitant loss of energy as heat. Then the light re-emitted from the lowest excited state of the chlorophyll molecule is fluorescence. Last is red light absorption by the chlorophyll molecule results in a into a higher excited state relative absorption. Try the question, everyone. You need to find out the combination of all the correct information. Try it out. Given below are the statements related to light absorption by the chlorophyll pigment molecule in the green leaf. Very good. Let's see. The answer for this is option number one and not option number two. We are repeating these questions, and even then the questions are not properly getting solved. Why? So answer is option number one, that is A, B, C. D is the wrong statement. First, second, and third are the correct ones. Why are you not able to find the correct answer for such questions which are already discussed in the class? Yes, not able to revise the things properly, right? A is the correct answer. Next question. Give it a try to this one. A researcher, while studying the vernalization in the plants, has made the following statement. You need to find out the incorrect gene. So, incorrect option need to be found out. What is vernalization? Vernalization is the chilling treatment, right? We have discussed about this properly. So, write down or find out the answer that which of the following information given about the vernalization is incorrect. Read the question carefully and mark the answer. Question is, which of the following information is incorrect when you're learning about the vernalization? First one, vernalization causes stable changes in the competency of the meristem in order to form an inflorescence in some plant species. Then, vernalization causes changes in the gene expression so that they do not involve alteration in the DNA sequence. Then, flowering is not altered under the normal conditions in the which is defective in vernalization. Last, vernalization alters the expression of the FLC gene. Very, very simple question. Answer for this is option number 3. You need to find out the incorrect option. How can the flowering not get altered if the plant is defective in vernalization? Vernalization is a process in which the plant gets chilling treatment, and as a result of which the flowering get induced, right? And if there is defect in the vernalization, the flowering will be getting altered under normal growth condition. 3 is the correct answer for this particular question. Easy and simple, basic question. Otherwise, it alters the expression of FLC gene, correct. It causes stable changes in the competency. It changes stable changes in the competency of the meristem, and then it also causes changes in the gene expression. Very simple question. Next question, try this question again, similar year, same paper, different question was asked related to the Florigin mobile signal. Try it out. Simple question. The mobile signal Florigin that controls the flowering status of the plants is encoded by which of the following? Flowering locus C, flowering locus D, flowering locus T, and constans. So, what is the correct answer for this? Answer for this is your flowering locus T. So, which of the following is encoded by the following, or which of the following gene that is given to you would be encoding the status of the flowering or the flowering status of the plant. It is your flowering locus T. Next question. Pheloderm is derived from which of the following? Pheloderm is a part in the root region. You need to find out pheloderm is derived from which of the following. First one is cork cambium, then you have fascicular cambium, then you have interfascicular cambium, and then you have provascular cambium. Try the question, everyone. Simple and easy. Very simple. Pheloderm is derived from which of the following? Cork cambium, fascicular cambium, interfascicular cambium, and provascular cambium. Very simple. Answer will be your pheloderm is derived from your cork cambium. Very simple and basic question. Very, very basic question. Pujita, why are you marking wrong answers? Not able to revise the things properly? Right? Even though this paper has been completely discussed, all the questions have been discussed properly, then also wrong answer for questions, that means you're not revising the things properly. Then absence of the dormant buds and the absence of annual growth rings in fossilized trunk specimen of a coral swamp plant indicate what? It is saying that if we have fossilized means preserving a trunk specimen of a coral swamp plant, there is absence of dormant buds and there are absence of annual growth rings. It is asking you, if both of these things are absent, what is getting indicated over here? What can you conclude because of the absence of these two things? Mark the answer, everyone. Done, everyone. Absence of your dormant buds and absence of annual growth rings in a fossilized trunk specimen of the coral swarms plant indicates long dry season, slow growth rate, highly fluctuating seasons, and unvarying seasonless climate. Answer for this will be option number 4. Annual growth rings indicate what? Growth rings indicate your year wise, right? So annual growth rings in the plants, also referred to as tree rings or growth rings, they are concentric circles observable in the cross section of a tree trunk or the woody stem. Each ring corresponds to 1 year of growth and is developed using the growing season when the favorable conditions are there. And if all of these things are not available, that means the area was having seasonless climate, like the temperature was constant without any variations, right? So this field of studying and examining the growth rings is the field of dendrochronology. Remember about this, dendrochronology. Next question, in which of the following organelles does glycine decarboxylase complex and the serine hydroxymethyl transferase convert two molecules of glycine into one molecule of serine? Very simple question from your photo respiration. This question has been asked. Simple, basic, and easy. Try the question, everyone. Very simple question. In which of the following organelles the glycine decarboxylase complex and the serine hydroxymethyl transferase convert two molecules of glycine into one molecule of serine? Endoplasmic reticulum, chloroplast, mitochondria, and peroxisome. Obviously, the answer is your mitochondria. C is the correct answer. Very good. Correct answer by many students. Next question, related to your plant cell water potential. Try the question. It is related to your cell, plant cells water potential. Which of the following option is the correct one? First is saying the major factors including the water potential in the plants are solute, pressure, and gravity. Then solute potential is the increases the free energy of water by diluting the water. Then positive pressure raises the water potential while negative pressure reduces it. Then gravitational potential depends on the height of the water above the reference state of water, the density of water, and the acceleration due to the gravity. Try the question, everyone. Simple and easy. This is from your water potential, from the basics of plant physiology. Try it out. Very simple. Following statements are given to you regarding the cell water potential. First one, the major factor influencing the water potential in the plants are the potential of solutes, pressure, and gravity. Second is saying solute pressure increases the free energy. Third, positive pressure raises the potential, negative pressure reduce it. Then gravitational potential depend upon the height of the water with reference state of water density and the acceleration. Answer is option number D, that is the fourth one. A, C, D are the correct one. B option is wrong. It is saying when we dilute the water, solute potential increases. No, solute potential will be making the water more concentrated. The free energy decreases as and when we add on the solute in it, right? What is solute potential all about? Solute potential is that whenever we add on any kind of solute in the water, the free space in the water decreases, and as a result, the capacity of the water or the potential of the water molecules to move freely decreases, and as a result you have the solute potential or the water potential decreasing in. Next question, this is related to your pathogen infection or pathogen attack, and the question is related to the functionality of the plant hormones. Try it out, everyone. Done, everyone. Following statements are made regarding the defense signaling pathway locally activated following the pathogen infection or the pest attack. First one, the jasmonic acid level rises. JAZ protein interact with the COP1 protein and get degraded by the 26S proteasomal pathway. Then elevated reactive oxygen species levels enhances the SA mediated defense signaling. Then, under normal conditions, NPR1 is preferentially localized into the nucleus, and then gibberellic acid and abscisic acid cannot participate in the plant defense signaling. Answer is option number 4. You need to find out which of the following is the correct one. So, first one is when the level rises, the jasmonic acid will be interacting with COP1 and then it will be getting degraded by 26S proteasomal pathway. Correct. Then elevated reactive oxygen species level enhances the salicylic acid mediated defense signaling. Correct. Then C and D are wrong. Gibberellic acid cannot, but abscisic acid will be participating in the plant defense because defense plant pathogen attack is a type of a stress for the plant, right? And the plant defense signaling will be the jasmonic acid, sorry, abscisic acid will be helping out in the same. Next question, this one is related to the gibberellins. Try it out. Following statements are made regarding the plant hormone gibberellins. You need to find out the combination of all the correct statements. Very, very simple question. Try it out. Done, everyone. Following statements are made regarding the gibberellin plant hormone. First one, gibberellins are ubiquitous in nature and they're also present in several fungi. Then GA1 is most abundant gibberellins produced in the fungus Fusarium fucorosi. Then the exogenous application of GA3 stimulates dramatic stem elongation in the dwarf maize mutant but has little effect on the tall wild type plant. Then application of exogenous gibberellins causes upregulation of GA20 oxidase and GA3 oxidase genes. You need to find out which of the following is the combination of the correct statements. Fourth is the correct one. Very good. A and C, you need to find out the combination of the correct one. So they are ubiquitous in nature and they are present in several fungi as well. Correct. Then exogenous application will be, or exogenous application of gibberellins in this GA3 stimulates dramatic stem elongation in the dwarf maize mutant but has little effect on the tall wild type. So A and C is the correct one, other two are the wrong ones. Next question. Over here the question is related to the cell toxicity due to the heavy metal in the plants. Try it out. Statement regarding cell toxicity due to heavy metal in the plants. Try it out. Simple and easy. Read the question carefully and then mark the answer. The purpose of these classes are to help you out in managing out the time as well. There's no point giving 3 minutes or 4 minutes to per question over here, because now examination is just 20 days away. You need to invest your time very, very effectively in every question so that you can make it a fact that every question is solved within the time frame only, right? Following statements are made regarding the cell toxicity due to heavy metals in the plants. First one, the uptake of heavy metal does not lead to accumulation of reactive oxygen species. They usually mimic essential elements, essential metals, and they take their place in the essential reactions. Then ion channels that transport essential metals do not participate in the transport of heavy metal. Then heavy metal can directly interact with the oxygen to form ROS. Question is, which of the following options represents all the correct statements? Uptake of heavy metal does not lead to accumulation of ROS. So some of you have marked the answer already. Let's see. Answer is option number 4. That is B and D are the correct one. Obviously, heavy metal stress or uptake of heavy metal are going to lead to accumulation of ROS. Then they usually mimic the essential elements and they take place in the essential elements reaction. Essential reaction, this is correct. And then ion channel that transport essential does not transport or does not participate in transport of heavy metal. This is wrong, because ion channels do participate in the transport of heavy metals as well, and then they can directly interact with oxygen to form ROS. This one is correct. B and D are the correct statements. Next question. Given below are certain statements regarding the specialized embryonic structures of the grass family. Question is asking you which of the following combinations represent all correct statements. Information is regarding specialized embryonic structure of the grass family. The scutellum forms the interface between the embryo and the starchy endosperm tissue. Then coleorhiza protects and covers first leaf while buried in the soil. Coleoptile forms a protective sheet around the radicle. In some species, such as maize, the upper hypocotyle has been modified in order to form mesocotyle. This is the 24th question that you're doing right now. In every class, we'll have a target of solving 25 questions, and you'll be surprised that in June and December paper, in total there were 49 questions asked. Like in all the 4 papers, in total there were 49 questions asked in the papers. So you can see how important this unit is. 49 questions in 4 papers. It's a very, very big number, right? And you can see all the questions are very easy. None of the question is difficult. We have discussed 24 questions in every class from today onwards. 25 questions will be dealt, and like you'll have to solve out those 25 questions within a time frame of 1 hour 15 minutes, 1 hour 10 minutes, so that you can get into the habit of utilizing your time properly as well. In this particular presentation, there are 100 slides in total, which includes 49 questions. Okay. So mark the question answer for this question, everyone. Done, everyone? Given below are statements regarding specialized embryonic structure of the grass family. Which of the following is the combination of all correct statements? Answer is option number 4. A and D are the correct ones. So A is the scutellum forms the interface between the embryo and the starchy endosperm tissue, and in some species in the upper cotyle get modified to form mesocotyle. So A and D are the correct one. Coleorhiza protects the first leaf and while buried in the soil. This is wrong. And coleoptile form a sheet around the radical. This is also wrong. A and D are the correct statements. So fourth is the correct answer.